Listeners, have you set your 2026 goals, revved your engine to get started only to feel like your momentum has stalled? Or are you feeling overwhelmed by all that you are still carrying from 2025? Is this blocking your writing progress? If so, welcome to the Writing and Resilience podcast. I am so happy that you are here today because we are going to address all of this for you. If you're new to the podcast, I'm Lisa Cooper Ellison, your resident story alchemist and the host of this show. Every week, we explore all the ways that you can write and live the story that sets you free. And I'm so glad to be here with you this year and this season, especially where my word of the year is sovereignty. So for me, sovereignty means self governance and claiming my individual power while allowing others to do the same. So, one of the things I plan to do on this podcast and in all of the work that I am doing is help people feel empowered to be fully who they are and to feel free to pursue their activities in the ways that work best for them, even if what you choose to do goes against what everyone else says is the best practice. So, in this episode, I'm going to talk about how you can claim your sovereignty and how you can claim sovereignty over your goals by examining what you need to do, or maybe what you need to go back and do in order to achieve your 2026 goals. Then, at the end, I'll share my secret for having the most successful year. So let's go ahead and dive in. Welcome to Writing and Resilience, the podcast for writers who want to write and live the story that sets them free. I'm your host, Lisa Cooper Ellison, a writer, transformational and trauma-informed coach, story alchemist, and fellow traveler on the winding road of healing and creativity. Each week, I'll share tools, practices, and conversations that will help you let go of what no longer serves you as you create stories that change lives, especially your own. Together, we'll explore how to trust your creative voice, support your mental health and resilience, work with your nervous system and unique design, and stay connected to your deepest calling as a writer, even when life gets messy. It's time, my friends, to write and live the story that sets you free. I'm honored to walk that journey alongside you, one story and one episode at a time. I am so excited to invite you to my brand new class, Revise Your Memoir. This is a 6-part online series I created with my friend, publishing expert Jane Friedman. If you finished a draft of your memoir and you're wondering how to shape it into the story you truly want to tell, this is the class for you. Together, we'll dig into structure, pacing, and finding your story's emotional truth. This is the kind of revision that transforms manuscripts from rough to ready. Each class comes with a detailed workbook, recordings, and real-time guidance to help you make real progress. Plus, those of you who sign up for the entire program will have opportunities to submit pieces that could be live workshopped during one of the webinars. And here's the best part. If you sign up for the entire program, you'll get a bonus session with Jane Friedman where we'll talk about getting your book ready for agents and publishers. I'll also be hosting co-writing sessions just for participants so you can build accountability, practice what you've learned, and ask questions about your project in a supportive space. If you're ready to revise your memoir in 2026, go to janefriedman.com/revise your memoir series with Lisa Cooper Ellison or click on the link in the show notes. I look forward to seeing you in 2026. All right, friends, I want to begin by saying welcome to 2026. And I could say that a bunch of different ways. I could say welcome to 2026 because a lot has already happened. And it's possible that you came to this year hoping it was going to be very different from the year before. And yet it feels like that old energy is still with you. And that momentum that you would love to have, it's just not there. That excitement that you were hoping to start the year with is just it's not revving. Or maybe you had a couple of weeks at the very beginning of the year and it felt like you were ready to go, only to feel this week like somebody is both pushing on the gas and the brake at the same time. Raise your hand if you feel any of these ways, because I can just say that I have felt all of that too. So I want to begin by giving us some context. Why was 2025 so hard or so challenging or so filled with just the stuff? And why might we still be feeling this? And how is that affecting our momentum? So, for the most part, Western astrology, this is the astrology that talks about your sun sign, like if you're an Aries or a Sagittarius or maybe a Pisces. That's Western astrology. And then there's Eastern astrology, which is often called Chinese astrology, which is associated more with animals. They often don't line up. But in 2025 and the energy that's happening right now, they are actually lining up. And 2025 was the year of the wood snake. Okay, so snakes shed their skin. And if you have ever watched this happen, it's kind of a gross, ugly process. And it doesn't feel great, right, to the snake. It's uncomfortable because the skin gets too tight. There's a sense of constriction. And it can feel, again, really uncomfortable and really difficult. And we've been dealing with that in 2025, and we're still dealing with that because we are not yet in the new energy. 2025 was also a 9 year, which in numerology is a year of shedding and completion so that we can start something new. And excitingly, 2026 is a 1 year, which is a year of launching and moving and planting seeds for the future. So there's a lot to be excited about. And yet, there's some work that we need to do in order to prepare for this really fertile season. So, what you need to be doing right now is shedding what no longer serves you. And maybe you did some of that work involuntarily in 2025 through losses of relationships. Maybe people that are beloved to you died, or you lost a job, or you lost something else that was really important and precious to you. This happened to a lot of people. Or maybe you confronted some aspect of yourself that you didn't want to see or you didn't want to face, and it showed up in an ugly and uncomfortable way. So, all of these things are the energy of a 9 year in numerology and of that period of shedding. And that shedding will continue until around February the 20th, which is when we enter the new year in Chinese astrology, which is going to be the year of the fire horse. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But what I want to say right now is if you're having this desire to have more momentum, but you're feeling like it ain't there, I am just still feeling a little stuck in the mud, or like, it's just not happening, go back and look at what you need to shed, because it's likely that there is more work that you need to do in order to prepare the fertile ground for you to be able to move forward and do all of the things that you want to do. So, what do you need to shed? Number one, unhelpful beliefs, and then problematic habits, and finally, relationships that bring you down or are not serving not just who you are now, but the person that you want to become. So, I'm going to unpack all of this during this episode. So, first, let's talk about beliefs. Beliefs are the foundations for who you are. Your beliefs define not just who you are, but how you operate in the world. They are the things that tell you what you feel like you can or can't do, the things you give yourself permission to try or not try. And so your beliefs are so powerful. And yet, here's the tricky part about them. There are some beliefs that you just know, right? You know that you believe certain things. But there are a lot of beliefs that we hold that are unconscious. And it's those unconscious beliefs that hold us back. So, what we want to do is we want to take some time to try to make the unconscious conscious so that we can work with it. Today, I'm offering an invitation. I want you to pause this episode and go get your journal if you haven't already done so, or you don't have one with you. because I have some questions that I would like you to ponder to prepare you for the work ahead. So once you have your journal, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here's the first question that I want you to ask yourself. What would I do if I lived a life with no limits? I want you to write down what that life is like. Who are you? What are you doing? What do you give yourself permission to be or try or experience? Now, for some of you, you're going to start writing these things down and immediately have a visceral response. So you may feel some tightening in your body or a constriction somewhere, maybe in your jaw, or you may find that your brain goes blank, right? It's difficult to figure out what that was, or you may have some beliefs that show up. Okay, so if you hear the beliefs, well, I can't do this because, or that wouldn't be right, or that wouldn't be fair to so and so, whatever it is, I want you to jot that down. And if you just notice some constriction in your body or your brain goes blank, I want you to be really curious about it and ask in your journal the following questions. If this constriction could speak, it would tell me. Or if my brain had an idea, what would that idea be? Or you can ask, what is blocking myself from having ideas? Right? So just be really curious about it. You don't have to come to a place of certainty right now. Just give yourself a chance to be curious about what is. Because when you approach this in a really gentle way, you allow your unconscious to trust you and to know that you're going to take this information that it's giving to you and treat it gently. So that is part of the energy that I want you to bring to this, an energy of curiosity, of gentleness, and compassion so that you can work with it. And that's what I want you to do. So once you have identified your beliefs, that especially those beliefs that don't serve you well, these are beliefs that are probably constricting. They may start with the word I can't, or I don't think, or I feel like I'm not, right? So you may find that kind of language around them. Once you've identified these, I want you to get curious about which beliefs are ready to be released, because some of these beliefs are so entrenched that you just need to sit with them for a while before you are ready to release them. So don't try to force yourself to release things that aren't ready, but just get clear on what is ready to be released. And once you know what that is, I want you to create some sort of ceremony that helps you release it. So here are some different ceremonies that I have done. I will get clear on what those beliefs are, and then I will write them down, and then I will burn them. Watching that burn in a fire can be really healing and nurturing, and it can be a way of letting beliefs go. You can also pour your beliefs into a glass of water and then pour that water on a plant. Those are just two different ones. You can say them out loud and just allow the wind to carry the sound of that belief away. And what you may find is that you let go of a belief and then you need to let it go again, right? So sometimes that letting go process takes time. But I want you to figure out what is a meaningful ceremony for you that allows you to let them go. And it's something that you can do again if you need to keep letting it go. Okay. So that's about the releasing piece, right? We're shedding right now. But here's something really important when it comes to our beliefs. We can't just let our beliefs go, because then we create this vacuum in our minds and in our sense of understanding for ourselves. What we have to do is we have to replace those beliefs that we are letting go of with a new positive belief. So, for instance, let's say that your belief is, I don't have an author platform that will allow me to be traditionally published. Okay, maybe that's a belief that's holding you back. Or I can't build an author platform that will attract an agent. Or I'm not talented enough to write a book that could be traditionally published. Maybe those are some of the beliefs that you have. Well, you can release those beliefs and replace them with something positive, such as I am building the skills needed to successfully accomplish my goals. Or I am in the process of connecting with the readers who need my book. Notice how I've said this in the positive and I've said this actively, right? As if it is happening now, because the more you internalize that, the more you will be able to do what is next on the list, which is dealing with your habits. Because habits are also a part of how we define ourselves, right? We are, in some ways, what we do, right? So, or what we do influences how we see ourselves and how others see us. So, I want you to think about the beliefs that you want to inhabit, right? What are these new beliefs? These new beliefs are the new person that you are wanting to become. And once you know what that is, I want you to think about what are the habits that a person has who is successful, right? If you are a person who is a traditionally published author, let's say, or let's not even say traditionally published, because I think saying it in that way can denigrate or make it sound like people who self publish are less than, right? It creates this sense of hierarchy. And let's blow that out of the water. Okay. So I am a published author. I love how I'm correcting myself in the moment. So I want you to hear how I'm correcting my own beliefs, because sometimes that's what we have to do. We say something and then we correct ourselves. And that is part of that building a habit. So if I am a published author, one of the things that I have to do is I have to set up time to write, right? Showing up to a desk to write is a habit that I have to build in order to be that person. So I want you to think about what those habits are for yourself that you need to build so that you can have this new life that you are working towards. And you may find that some of these habits that you have to build are uncomfortable. Okay, so let's say you want to be a published author, you have to show up and write. Well, that might mean that you have to say no to some things that are difficult to say no to. So maybe you have to say no to social media. And I say that even though we may say in our brains, oh, yeah, that should be easy to do. Our brains are wired, and I mean wired to be connected to social media, because social media has so many ways that it's trying to hit the reward center in our brain. Our brains love that, even though it is total junk food that is really damaging for our brains. Okay, so let's say that you have to say no to social media at least some of the time. Well, turning off your phone and setting it aside somewhere else might feel really uncomfortable in the beginning. Maybe if you want to build an author platform, as another example, you may have to pitch yourself to, let's say, a podcast, or you may have to write an essay and then submit it for publication. And those things might feel really uncomfortable. But here's my invitation to you: do those habits, even if it feels like you are not yet that person. That is how you will become the person that you want to be. I will tell you about one of the things that I'm working on, and that is not overscheduling myself. At the end of the year, I went into my calendar and I just blocked off all of this time that I am taking off, that I am setting aside for myself and my writing. And it felt so good to do that. And because that's a habit that writers have, right? They make time to write. But I'm going to tell you, there's something that I could do that could fit perfectly into that time. And it is going to feel so uncomfortable to say no. And yet, because my word of the year is sovereignty, and I am very clear about what my goals are, I will lean into that discomfort and I will say no when I need to. And so all of that leads to an area that can be really uncomfortable, and that is relationships, right? So we've talked about beliefs, we've talked about habits and behaviors, and the last one is relationships, because our relationships can be so precious to us, and each person that we interact with is teaching us something. They are offering us an opportunity to grow. But the reality is that sometimes people are here for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And we need to evaluate throughout time whether or not this person that's in your life has served their purpose. And this is not to say that relationships are transactional, right? I'm not saying like, oh, I needed them for this specific purpose and now they've done it, so I need to let them go. Not talking about that, but that sometimes as we grow and as we evolve past people. And so when that happens, we want to honor what that relationship was, how it served us, and allow ourselves the opportunity to move on to people who match the frequency of what we want and where we are going. Because if we don't do that work, you will find that the people who are of the old frequency, right, of the old way, will bring you down. So that doesn't mean you have to let go of everyone, right? We're not talking about going no contact with any person who doesn't serve you, unless that is what serves you. I'm talking about setting really good boundaries. So I want to give you a practical way that you can do this so that you can begin to evaluate who are the people in my life who fill me up, who support me, who nourish me, who inspire me to be a better me, and who are the people I know need to be with me on the path. And then who are the people that I need to limit the time I'm with. And I would imagine that right now there are a few names that are coming to mind. But I want you to hold off in terms of deciding whether or not those are the people and do this exercise first. All right. So in your journal, I want you to make a list of all of the people that you regularly interact with. And then once you have those names, I want you to rate the quality of each relationship on a scale from 1 to 10. So 1 is this is a relationship that causes me to feel shame about myself or to feel like I can't do things or they are damaging me in some other way. And this is usually in the realm of abuse. Okay. So 1 is a relationship that is damaging right now and you need to get away from. And 10 is this is a person who supports me fully, who is there for me, and who inspires me to be a better person. So go through your list and you can press pause if you want to have the podcast here right with you. So my voice can be with you throughout this, but press pause and go ahead and rate all of these relationships and then we'll move on. Okay. So after you've done that, this is the next part. If someone is lower than a 5, right? 5 is baseline. And what I mean by 5 is a 5 is someone who can support you some now. They have the frequency that you have now, and you generally enjoy being with them. So these aren't people you need to scrap. And they are certainly not relationships that are negative, but that's kind of a baseline. This is a relationship that is pretty good. So if a relationship is lower than a 5, it is highly likely that you need to set boundaries in that relationship. So here's some questions I want you to ask about these relationships that are lower than a 5. So you can come up with the most loving thing that you can do for yourself and that person. The first question I want you to ask yourself is, are you trying to solve this person's problems when they can solve them themselves? So this could be in the realm of people pleasing, codependence. Maybe you're a trauma survivor and you struggle with the fawning trauma response. Just ask yourself this question honestly, because sometimes the easiest way to set a boundary is to set a boundary with ourselves, right? And so instead of somebody tells you their problem, you jump in with what you feel like is the best solution. You notice like, oh yeah, I have the solution in my mind. I'm going to pause and not say anything and instead say, I know you have what it takes to figure it out. This was something I had to learn to say to people because I struggled with this. This was like a huge Achilles heel for me. So I'm going to give it to you again. I know you have everything you need to take care of this or to do this. And I believe in you. Sometimes that's all you need to say. And that sets a boundary and that allows you to have more energy for yourself. Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing I want you to think about is this friendship or this relationship imbalanced in any way such that they are always coming to you with their problems or always dumping on you in some way so that when you leave every interaction, you feel drained, right? I want to be really clear that I'm talking about imbalance because all relationships are a matter of give and take. And so there are going to be times where people have a lot going on in their lives and they need to process with you, or they need your support and they need you to just be with whatever the pain, the muck, the messiness is. And that's okay. Right. And in those situations, when you are in the muck and in the messiness, you will probably feel drained and you'll have to go do something else to fill yourself up. But there will be other times when this relationship is about fun and exciting things and new adventures and new memories, and there's a lot of lightness. And there are probably going to be times when you are in the mess and the muck and the unknown, and that person is there for you, right? That's what a balanced relationship is. It's all of those things together. So if a relationship is less than a 5, ask yourself about the balance. Are all 3 of those facets there? Are they there for you? Can you be there for them? And is this relationship also about fun, joy, and being present? If it's not, get really curious about why that is. Does it relate to that first question? You've set up a dynamic where you're always trying to solve their problems, or is something else going on? The next thing I want you to ask yourself, and this could be with an imbalanced relationship specifically, is are you trying to get love and support from someone who does not have the capacity to give it to you? This can show up a lot in relationships with parents or siblings or other family members where we just have this deep desire for their approval and for their love and their acceptance, and for them to say, I believe in you and I am proud of you. And oh my gosh, imagine what the world would be like if everybody was able to do that. I want to live in that world. And the reality is, we live here on earth, and some people are great at that, and some people just aren't. And so, what we have to learn is to accept the fact that not everyone has the capacity to offer these things to us, largely because they don't offer it to themselves. And so, when that's the case, we need to, if we really need someone to be proud of us, find the people who can be proud of you and can communicate it. Right. So it's not a matter of you not needing that. Sometimes we have these fundamental needs, and that is perfectly fine. We are social creatures. We need each other. But we don't have to try to get something from someone who just doesn't have the capacity to do it. You can still love that person, but maybe what you do is you don't share as much about your vulnerable, tender projects with them. You instead share this and share the joy and the struggle and all of it with other people who have the capacity for it. So, as you are thinking about all of these people who are, below a 5, I want you to then, once you've understood a little more about that relationship, pause and ask yourself whether or not you've outgrown that relationship. Is it still one that serves both of you? Right? Because sometimes we think, oh, if I let a relationship go, I'm being mean to that person, but you are setting them free, and they may find someone else who is actually able to serve a need that they have that you can't serve. So it's not about cruelty. It's about understanding what serves us and others and then letting things go in the most loving way. Because when you do that, then you can call in more of the people who are able to support you and are on the same trajectory with you. And that is how people get things done. We often do this in collaboration with others or with the support of other people. And we want to get that support from the people who have the vibration, the energy, the frequency, the capacity, the dedication, the momentum that we are looking for, because as we are with those people, we tap into that, and that can be amazing for your progress. So, when anyone is a 5 or higher, you want to just ask yourself, do these people align with where you are, and do they align with where you're going? And again, just be really curious about it and spend the most time with the people who are aligning with where you want to go, or they have the capacity or the drive, or they are on the same path to go there. Find those people and spend time with them. And I'm going to offer an invitation. This is really important. Some of the people that you're going to want to spend time with are going to make you so uncomfortable. And that is because they are operating at a level that's beyond where you are now. And so they challenge you. And you may find that those people are supportive, they have what you're looking for. And sometimes when you're with them, you feel a little less than, or some of your old beliefs come up, right? That is so human and so normal. So if that does, just notice, oh yeah, there's the old belief. And then share the new belief with yourself, right? Repeat the new belief like a mantra so that you can counteract that energy. And then just say to yourself, oh yeah, I'm uncomfortable right now because I'm growing. I'm growing into the person I want to be. And like a snake shedding its skin, it's sometimes itchy and uncomfortable and tight. And I just have to go through this process. So that's one of the things that you need to do. And that leads to what I talked about in the beginning, which is my secret for success and for having a successful 2026. This is one of the most important practices that you can build for yourself. And that is understanding where your yes comes from. Because the more you understand where your yes comes from, and then you honor that yes, whatever it is, without having to question it and always make sense of it, you are going to be in alignment with your goals and with what it is that you are hoping to achieve. And you're going to experience more joy and more ease in your life. Does that mean you'll never have problems? No, because you live on earth and we live in a world of polarity and we are going to have problems, but you will be able to roll with them in an easier way. And this is really important because we are shedding right now so that on February 20th, we can enter the year of the fire horse. So the fire horse is going to have a completely different energy. This is the energy of rapid momentum, creativity, passion, innovation. And you may not feel it all at once, right? February 20th may not arrive and you might not be like, oh my gosh, here it is. It's probably going to show up more as a slow wave that builds over time. But we are moving into that energy. And the more you understand your yes, the more you will be able to get into that creative flow and you will find the innovations that work for you because you are your unique person and there are specific strategies that will work for you and they may or may not fit with what the best practices are. So you want to give yourself permission to do what is right for you. And that will be the secret to your success. So, here are 2 additional questions that I want you to ponder as we prepare for this brand new energy and for you to have the most successful year you can. Question number 1, do you own your creative power? Just sit with that question. Do you own your creative power? Do you trust that creative power and do you harness it? And then here's number 2. How can I deeply honor my creative process? Whatever that is, however it works. Because once again, the more you honor it, the more you will build momentum and it will feel like you are galloping towards your goals. Thank you so much for listening. That's it for today's episode. Before you go, I would love it if you would text the show if you're on Apple Podcast or Spotify, or most importantly, leave a comment on YouTube with the answer to the following question. What's your goal for 2026? I would love to hold space for it. And I want to let you know that when you offer comments on YouTube, especially, you help with the algorithm, which helps us grow the show. And so any comments you have will be answered by me, and I will be eternally grateful for your support. Until next time, remember that your story matters. As you work on it, you shed what you no longer need so that you can become the gift that you are truly meant to be for this world. I'm so grateful to join you on that journey through each and every episode. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. I couldn't do this podcast without your support. If you love this episode, here are 3 simple ways that you can keep this show thriving. 1, subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. 2, Leave a 5-star review so others can find the show. 3, join my engaged dynamic community by signing up for the Writing Your Resilience newsletter. As a thank you, you'll receive a free copy of Ditch Your Inner Critic, 5 tools to transform self-doubt into self-support. Until next time, remember that your story matters. As you write and connect with the truest, most authentic version, you become not just the writer, but the person you're meant to be. And that, my friends, is the real freedom writing can offer.